and welcome. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. This is our Black Friday stream. I'm Assaf Sagol from Polyverse Music, and today we're going to make some music using Filterverse, our new plugin, and maybe other plugins by Polyverse, and we'll find out very soon. I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm just going to improvise. And hopefully we'll have something cool conjured up. I'm gonna start with using Filterverse as a drum synthesizer. Maybe we'll start with recording a kick drum. Last time I made some drums. So let's set it by date. And listen to some of those drums that I've made. Okay, I like this one. Simmons kick. And this kick, this patch will come out as part of a patch pack that I'm already creating. It has lots of different drum sounds on it. So awesome. Let's quantize everything so it sits in place. And this needs to be 12th. Yep. Awesome. That's number one. Number two is going to be a snare. Snare is easy. And let's add another one for a cymbal. Okay, let's maybe create a more elaborate kind of pattern for the cymbals. Maybe we'll even add a little bit of swing to it. Let's find out what sounds good. Cymbalation. Okay, I like to use sequencers to create these cooler patterns that have this changing rhythm. Woo! Let's see what we can do with the snare and bass drum, because the snare kind of sounds a little bit toyish, and I feel like maybe we can get something a little bit more substantial here. Yeah. So one of the things that I really like to do with those reverbs is create gated reverbs by controlling the resonance. And this is, I think, probably the cleanest way to get a really cool gated reverb. And this specific instance, using coils, gets us this cool sweeps down really nicely. Yeah. This maybe a little different, slight difference. This just catches the. This is nicer, maybe. Let's see a little bit of subtleties. Yeah. Now the equalizer, I'm not sure I need it. I really, the tonality here is less important than the actual effect, and so I'm thinking maybe in this case, what I'm going to do, let's find out. Whereas so one of the cool things about Filterverse is you can see in real time, just by looking at Filterverse, you can basically see where every modulation goes. Because even if the tab is hidden, you can see here that it's modulated. And for instance, now I want to see where does this go. And when I flick it on and off, you should be able to see changes. Our eyes are very sensitive to changes more than they are capable of finding things inside a mess. So when you do a small change, you can see that there's a flashing element here. And then you can see that it's actually controlling the oscillator number 5. If I do the same for number 2 here, then you should be able to see this flashing right here. And our eyes are just so sensitive to those changes, it makes it much easier to just see which modulation goes where, just by flicking it off, on and off. And it's a very useful tool, in my opinion. One of my pet peeves are VST synthesizers with menu diving, where you have like a huge modulation matrix, and when you want to change a preset or kind of zero, like reset a synthesizer, you have to completely guess and hope for the best to see where everything goes to so you can close it. It's really annoying. And I made sure that Filterverse doesn't have that. By the way, if you're here on the stream, say hello in the chat and let us know what you think. Now, I really like on reverbs to dirty them with a little bit of bit crushing. So we have two types of bit crushers, and you can see this is you can see this information right here on the visualization. All of our visualizations have something useful for you to look at, and one of those things is the exponential nature of the bit crushing stages. So the bit crushers here, the positions here, it might seem a little bit cryptic. If you go to the manual, you can read everything. But here goes the position of the bit crusher. Where does the position go? Pre, post, PR, pre, PO, post, BO for both. Okay, so we have pre L for linear, pre E for exponential, and you can see those lines over here become closer in the quiet end. And this is a bit crushing algorithm that is kind of similar to hello Nichtuntun Nichtuntun. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but hello, welcome to our stream. So the bit crusher has two algorithms. One is linear, which means that it will just round it to even stairs, and that's like 99.999% of the bit crushers you guys have access to. But we also have a special feature here, which is exponential, and that means that it will bit crush the louder parts more than the quiet parts. And although you retain the amount of bits, you still get more resolution in the quiet parts. And this is reminiscent of the A law and U law and mu law for old samplers that used PCM, but the bit crushing was exponential, so you can get more resolution in the quiet parts. Let's listen. Before, I'm going to just turn this off too, so we can hear the coils reverb just being decimated by the bit crusher. All right. So this is linear, as then you can hear that the reverb is just getting cut off very quickly. We get a little bit of a in the end. With the exponential, you should get a lot more of the tail. But it's the same amount of bit. You just have less resolution in the loud part and more for that reverb tail. This is just 4 bits. 2 bits. Linear. exponential. Now this position has two Bitcrushers, one before, one after. And those, just one before, one after. So the position of the Bitcrusher will change the sound dramatically. If you have a Bitcrusher before the decimator, then it will Bitcrush, yeah, but you can actually filter it after. Okay, let me return some more of that snare. Okay, if we have it post, then the Bitcrushing effect will happen after the filtering. So there is an effect of the filtering, but you can hear that the Bitcrusher comes after, and those steppy high frequencies are still present no matter what kind of filtering you have. And in here, it's both. So you can see that each position really dramatically changes the way that it interacts with the reverb. Now, let's just go back and get a really nice crunchy. That's pretty cool. Now I'm going to use, since I'm getting it with a decimator already, I have this one free. I don't need to control the resonance. And I can actually use that to change a little bit of the cutoff here. So let's see what we can do. Hey JD Sub, thank you. I really appreciate you. Okay. Kind of like this. Now, I am missing a little bit of oomph for this. I'm going to put another Filterverse after the Filterverse because I've heard you like Filterverse. So this time I'm going to show you another type of hidden secret under the hood. Cabinator can be a guitar cabinet. If you put it on 0 here and 100% here, then all of those guitar cabinets will be as recorded. But we can reduce the amount of cabination, which means the amount of filtering. So let's listen to that. Am I listening to the right? No, I'm not listening to the right. This is not the right channel. Sorry. No plugin here. The snare here. Here we go. Filterverse, stereo. And back to Cabinator. Our guitar cabinet simulator. Okay. Okay, so each of those has a different filter, but I can tune that filter down. And that makes a more flat frequency response, although each amp still has a different non-linearity. You can actually, if you push the gain here, you'll get more of it, but you already get more non-linearity from the get-go. And specifically, for some of those models, they have a rectifier compression type circuit inside. So when you push it, it actually engages a compressor, and you have to pass the 0 dB to engage it, because it's kind of like a very soft saturation going on there. But it's more like a combination between saturation and compression. As you play louder, it kind of sucks the power from the amp, reduces the volume a little bit, and that gives many amps this nice sound that we are familiar with. So here, you can hear it gives a nice fat saturation. And I'm also going to try, maybe not, maybe it's a little bit less accurate for the snare. We also have more filters, but let's try changing the tone a little bit and see what happens. Ooh, this is pretty good. Yeah, there we go. Oh. And I feel like maybe the tail has maybe a tiny bit too much low end. So I'm going to use a sequencer to just remove that low end gradually. Like that, with a high pass. With that, with maybe a little bit more. Nice. Without, with, and you know what? Because I love dirt, let's try and even make it more dirty. The evil filters are exceptionally cool with that, because you can push volume into it, and it's going to drive that filter in a different stage than you push the drive, and the damage will break some components in it and add even more dirt. Oh, this adds more punch than the drive, for instance. On fizz, maybe on spit it's going to be a little bit different. Ooh, crunchy. Yeah, but no. Ooh, that's nice. Ooh, that hit the spot, I think. Let's listen without it. I like that. Before. After. Hey, David. How are you? Oh, good question. Does the Cabinator feature IR? It does not. It does not feature IR. And you cannot modulate IRs in audio rate like like you can here. Cabinator employs a very sophisticated curve-fitting EQ, and that means that you can then, and our EQ is of course zero feedback. You know, the Polyverse quality. It's so you can change the formants by shifting that EQ using the size. But yeah, I'm not even filtering right now, so it's not going to make any effect. And I'm happy with the snare. But yeah, there's no IRs. It's a curve fitting EQ, and it brings us, maybe it doesn't bring us like all the way to the IR section, but it's like 99.9% similar. And it gives you zero latency. It gives you light CPU. You can modulate it. You can audio rate modulate it. You can really experiment with the sound in a much more depth. And IR can sound dead, I agree. But I've heard good IRs. It all depends on who records them and the sound design. It's kind of like a sampler. Samples can definitely sound dead when they're not recorded correctly. But if a piano would be recorded in a way that is sample aware, then you can get it sounding more lively. And I think the same with IR. But of course, with our algorithm, there's a whole different set of issues, and it's definitely more modulatable. It's a little bit less, slightly less true to the origin. But who cares? We tuned these amps to sound great, not to be true to the origin. And to be honest, a lot of those amps that we recorded and EQ matched, we came into the EQ afterwards and tweaked it so it would sound much more produced and high end. And we really just massaged it to be what we want it to be. We don't really care if it sounds exactly like the Mesa Boogie that you love or whatever. If you really want a Mesa Boogie, go record a Mesa Boogie, or go and use one of the don't want to sound cynical, but fake clones out there. So here we go. Let's look at the kick. So the kick here employs a type of circuitry that is very similar to the Simmons kick drum. I don't know if you know, but if you open an old Simmons SDS9, for instance, you'll see a tiny bit of a AMD chip there. And that AMD chip has a snare sample etched into it. And part of that snare sample is actually being used for the transient of the kick. It's just a tiny bit portion use that. And you can change the pitch. And after that, you just have like a oomph that is low. And let's just listen to what kind of things we can get out of this kick. So this is the sample that I'm talking about, but here we're generating it with our oscillator and a noise on the trigger mode. It generates a short burst. You can actually select one of those bursts. So right now we're on minus 243 degrees on phase. Let's listen to other ones. I like this one. It sounds like a nice thump. You may always ask a question. Always, always. I'm here to answer your questions. Okay, now let's listen to the body. I'm just going to reduce the knock altogether so you'll hear what's left without it. It's just like oomph. Now let's listen to the frequency of that body. Yeah, I want the kick to be a little bit tighter and maybe lower. And yeah, I think Filterverse is a very handy tool, but to be honest, the real tool, really, just listen to me on this one. I promise you, this is the best advice. The real tool that you really need for synthesizing and putting everything in your mind onto the DAW and into your music in the most direct way is knowledge. Knowledge will bring you from A to B the fastest. Presets will bring you from A to G without going even through B, because you have one plan. but you get to a completely different destination. Maybe that's a good thing, but for me, it just takes way longer. And usually, when I'm in the zone, I know where I want to reach. And if I reach somewhere else, it might completely ruin my inspiration or change whatever I wanted to do. So knowledge is the real key. And this is the way I'm able to synthesize kicks and snares and hi-hats through Filterverse. Yes, Filterverse is capable of doing those things, but it's not like a magic tool that will just generate those drums out of thin air. So here we go. Let's add another Filterverse after that and kind of push that kick to the edge. I'm going to use the cabinator trick I showed you before. By the way, listen, I just put the cabinator and it kind of sounds bad. Yeah, this is punchy. I add the cabinator, sad. That's because each model here has a different nonlinearity. So before I'm going to say, hey, cabinator sucks, blah, 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 let's listen to each of the models and see what happens. Just now it's kind of flat. It's kind of like bypassed, but the nonlinearities change a lot of things. Let's listen. Okay, so JC12 compared to VX3. Completely different amount of punch. Well, for me, I personally really love the two bass amps over here, BAMP and BMES, Ampeg and Mesa, but not really, you know, just like the overall sound style. Maybe I don't need cabinator here. Maybe let's listen to a different filter. Maybe we can get a different type of oomph from just pushing some of those filters. So let's listen. By the way, the kick is already entering very loudly in here. Maybe what I should do, yeah. And all of those filters here are saturating, except for brick wall, equalize, and clear glass. You know what? Maybe I should color them differently. Next version. I'll color them differently so you'll be aware. So you can see it says linear here on the menu, on the side where the description is on the bottom. And wherever it says linear, that means that there's no saturation. When you push level, it's just going to be louder. It's not going to be more saturated. But I'm more interested in the saturation. So let's listen. Sounds like it's off, because it is off. Ooh. You hear Deep Cutter has this kind of saturation that keeps a lot of those transients in check, and it makes everything fatter. Let's listen to a more subtle approach. I feel like I'm missing a little bit of punch here, and maybe just before the Deep Cutter, I can add a little bit of a peak filter. Maybe equalize. Ooh, here we go. Without, with, gives a little bit. Not all of what I'm looking for, but let's exaggerate it for a second and find that real sweet spot. Ooh. I think that is it. Just needs a little tiny bit of that. Do we like it? It's very slight. I'm not sure I love things that just okay, let's carry on. Let's make the hi-hat a little bit more dynamic. And I'm going to do that not by painting velocities, but by actually painting a sequencer on the volume. And just playing with the pattern and see what kind of... Huh. Okay, let's add some bass. $85 to $90 more, and then high pass from 50-ish. For the kick? Yeah, I don't think this is needed. What I do think okay, kind of. I think the fact that I just removed it, it basically freed up all of those 80 to 90 hertz because that distortion kind of screwed it up. High pass from 50-ish, that's something that I don't like to do. High passing kicks and bass, in my opinion, is a pretty bad habit. Because you end up screwing the phase, and you also end up removing stuff that is necessary. I have really nice speakers that go down to almost 25 hertz. I can hear everything in my room, and I don't feel like there's any kind of low end here that is problematic. So I don't like to cut. Maybe reduced by a bell, maybe a shelf or something like that, which also creates much less phase issues, much less group delay, and all of those kinds of things that filters introduce. I would do a phaser, but right now I think I want to go on and just do some bass lines. MIDI. And since today we're already doing all this, let's call this music. Ick. Okay, so let's use Filterverse as a synthesizer. And one of those ways is just to open an oscillator and an envelope. And then you have two choices. You can either control the oscillator directly with the envelope like this, or you can put it after the filter right here. In this case, I'm going to put it on the oscillator itself. Reduce the velocity sensitivity because really I don't need it here. And let's use a saw oscillator. What's going on? All right. Now, before we start choosing filters and so on, I did want to show you guys some of the difference between our classic filters, and I think that's very interesting to listen to. So I'm going to reduce the volume just a little bit so we're not kind of going overboard, because I am going to push some levels here. No, I'm not going to funk it up. Let's make it, I don't know, let's listen for. Okay, let's use this as a temporary baseline. If I get more inspiration later, I can always change it. I kind of feel like maybe it's not the best baseline right now, but sometimes you just have to kind of go with the flow, because if you stop and try to fix things and fight, 1 second, my kid is playing the recorder in the other room. I'm just going to close my studio door. Okay, back. Now let's listen to. So yeah, sometimes it's just not worth fighting. It's kind of like sometimes when you don't think about something, then it comes to your mind, and that's what I'm hoping will happen now. So maybe it's not the most ideal baseline, but it should work for us now. Now let's just listen to some of those filters and how the filter input works on them, and how the different filters differ from each other. So Swiss Army knife, this is a really nice filter. That's why we put it first. When you push the resonance, you can hear the bass does not drop. Just add more resonance. And the low end just does not drop. If you add more resonance, then the resonance changes the volume, right? And that means that there's a different balance between what is the resonance and the bass. But you can tune it. You can tune that balance by pushing volume input. So now I have a very low input, and the filter has less non-linearities because of that. Because the louder you go, the more saturation you get. Now I'm going to push in. Listen how sweet that resonance is. Now I'm going to push in more. You can hear that resonance being displaced by the sound. And this way, and it's also kind of becoming warbly. So you can really get that fine tune. Let's put a little bit of modulation there so we can hear the movement of the filter. Now, if we push the volume in, it's very different than just pushing drive, because those are in different positions in the circuit. So you get a completely different effect. Listen to that. And there is also an interaction between the filter input and the drive. So the versatility of the filter is crazy. And also there's a lot of interaction between the poles as well, because a lot of those saturations happen within the circuit of the filter. Now let's move on to bread and butter. Now you can already hear there's a little bit less low end on bread and butter. Bread and butter is like a ladder filter, while Swiss Army knife is more like a SVF, a state variable filter. You can find the state variable filters in many synthesizers, but my favorite state variable filter is the SEM, the Oberheim SEM. And of course, my favorite ladder filter is the Moog. But we did not try to get that sound. And why didn't we not try to get that exact Moog sound? You get that kind of 70s vibe and feeling, but you don't get that exact Moog sound. And why is that? Well, A, we're not in the business of cloning. There's enough clones on the market. I don't want to give you another 1176 or another fake Moog. I'm interested in taking that topology, the ladder filter topology or the state variable filter, and making it sound as nice as possible to my ears. I want the filter that makes me the happiest, not the filter that makes me the most nostalgic or the most, I don't know. I'm looking to just get the most out of this topology within my own environment. And the technology that we're using for those digital filters is obviously not the same as the technology that Moog uses for their analog filters. And that's our digital technology is not even the same as others who use zero feedback delay, because we have a very specific, we have solved some math issues regarding the nonlinearities that we haven't seen other people solve. And that makes our filters sound very unique. And those kind of give us the opportunity to make things that, in my opinion, in many circumstances would rival their analog counterparts. And I don't want you to take my word for it. Take those filters to your studio and see if you prefer the analog or these or other analog filters. So here we go. Now let's listen to what happens when we push gain into the bread and butter filter. Now, this one has this kind of, I don't know, I don't have the English word for it, but it's not raspiness, it's not throatiness, it's not velvetiness, it's all of them together. It's kind of like a, I don't know, there's kind of like a thing in the, some kind of density that you get when you just push volume here. And you can see the more poles you push, the more resonance you gain from that filter, because that resonance is created during the passage of the audio through all of the stages of the filter. So that's part of it. Now let's listen to what happens when you push some drive. A completely different type of saturation, but it's kind of like you hear it's the same family of sounds, but the balance between them, this gives more chunkiness and maybe this a little bit more cardboardy, some kind of, yeah. So here you can also kind of tune that resonance. Now the evil filters are some of the latest filters that we've released right now, and they are based on the Salient key filters. The most famous synthesizer that uses the Salient key topology is the MS-20 or the MS-10 by Korg. And the nice thing about those filters, and that has nothing to do with the Korg sound at all, the nice thing about those filters is that they use a bandpass to feedback bandpass to create a resonance. And that means that the resonance is easy to create. And because it's easy to create and you don't have to control it so much, you can introduce non-linearities in really weird places. And that's what we did here. And the poles, it says poles, but then you see names. And you probably wondered, why is that? That's because we have each filter is a different pole. It is a different pole. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 poles. You can make it more steep. But also, for each pole, we put in a different nonlinearity, a different drive algorithm, and a different damage algorithm as well. You can hear kind of the descriptive names come into effect. You can hear how fizzy this sounds. And this has a more... You see, now you hear why I called it spitty. And let's listen. This is one of my favorite filters here, the spit. You can hear that when I push the input, then the resonance becomes kind of warbly. Let's listen to it. The more you push, the more warbly it becomes until it starts to choke. I don't think there's more low end in the bread and butter. Overall, there's more low end in the bread and butter in some, compared to some of the evil filters, and we'll get to that very soon. So keep an eye on that low end. It's a good observation. So, and you might change your mind as soon as I switch some filters. Okay, let's listen to the bread and butter again. Yeah, right? Right. Bread and butter still, it has like, we're at low pole count. And evil. So yeah, but now let's listen to howl. Now you have a little bit more low end. And when I go to fat, it's all about that low end. It's just chunky and kind of blown up. Now I've pushed a lot of drive here and the input is not so loud. And let's listen to the drive difference between the algorithms. This is the fizzy kind of distortion here. And this sounds a little bit more, I would say, barky. The howl. Listen to how I can kind of isolate more distortion on that resonance peak if I pull the input down but push the drive in. Or displace that. So you get all these variations of sound. This is howl. Let's listen to glug. Glug will... The filter affects the distortion much more than most of the filters here. It has a very kind of smooth distortion as well. Fat. And one of my favorites is warp. And that's like a wave folder. And here, that's one of the best examples of the difference between pushing here and pushing here. Because if I push here, I get no folding. But if I push here, that's when I get the folding. And I think that the combination between them allows you to kind of really get like a much more wide array of folding effects, because you can get it saturated a little bit and then fold that. It's just a super wide array of sounds, and then I haven't even added the damage. So there's so many options here. So let's listen to the damage of some of those evil filters and discuss that. Each filter has a different type of damage. And those damages are not just in the nonlinearities. Some of them add a... let's listen to each one, and maybe we'll talk about what's happening under the hood. Some of the things are maybe too complicated to kind of mention here, but I'll try and kind of get you the most amount of useful information. So, give me 1 second just to kind of make sure that I'm not talking, I'm not saying things that are wrong. I want to be accurate here. I'm going to my documents here. Awesome. So the first one is just the more damage you add, the worst job the construction team did, because some of those cables become thinner, and some of the isolation between them starts adding crosstalk. This means some of the power goes into the audio, some of the audio goes into the power. It's like there's lots of crosstalks and extra paths that should not be there. The more damage I add, the more those paths become more prominent. Nachtuntun, thank you for the idea. You know what? I think I might adopt it. If you don't mind, go into our Discord channel and put that on the public beta suggestion list. So we can put it, we won't forget it, and we'll put this in the in our pipeline. But I have to say that gain compensation never really works. It's maybe when I push the input and it reduces the output, it's kind of convenient for some things, but you should not use it as a way to judge, was my sound better at the same level? Because I've been hearing lots of YouTubers that, let's just say that they are YouTubers because they can't become musicians, okay? A lot of YouTubers complaining about gain compensation have no idea what they're talking about, because sometimes, first of all, when you change saturation, you change compression, you already changed the dynamics. You don't want to hear it in the same level. You want to hear it in the correct position in the mix. And for that, you have to use your ears and move that knob that you're so lazy. I'm not talking about you guys, I'm talking about the YouTubers, but move that knob that they are so lazy to move. Really, the complaint about, oh, I have to move an extra knob, really, okay, you understand what I'm saying. It just kind of annoys me. Use your ears and expertise and stop with the expectations of things that can never happen. You can never really gain compensate something that you're changing its dynamics. The whole point here is to have a different level for different things. If it's a drum loop and you have a small ghost note and you want to raise those, so what are you checking? Why are you checking it against the kick loudness and the snare loudness at the full volume? You want to check it inside the mix. You want the kick and the snare and the ghost notes to be optimal inside your mix. You don't need to say, let's bypass it in true level and see if it's better or worse. This thing is really just a big misunderstanding. Use your ears, make it manually, and so on. But your idea, I think, was, am I stuck? I hope not. But your idea was still good because it is very useful. To do these things, sometimes you know you're going to do it. And when you know you're going to compensate, maybe that's not going to be the perfect compensation. But it's going to be faster, it's going to be more efficient, and later you can do the actual compensation. So I'm going to put that feature in, shift on volume. When you push it up, output goes down. When you push output opposite, it's a really good idea, and I'm going to implement it. So thank you for that idea. If you want, you can put it on our forum. If not, I hope I can remember it. Probably I will, but I think it's a good idea that you do it. And also, you can check out our Discord chat, become part of our ever-growing community. It's a very, very, very cool community. Lots of very interesting chats going on there, so you guys are invited. Thank you, Iterant Ghost. Thank you. We love you too. Okay, let's continue listening to some more damages here. So we said that the fizz is about crosstalk between the components. Let's listen to spit. So remember when I played spit and I got it to sound warbly by pushing the filter in? Well, I love that warbly sound, but if you kind of compare it to a wasp or like some of those really gnarly filters, they are even warblier. So, and it's not their warbly because the designers love that warbly sound. It's more about saving money and bad components. But we came to love those kind of low quality, lo-fi type sounds because it's interesting to our ears. So I decided to get that warbliness and enhance it with damage. So that now pushing the volume and adding damage, let's get it as warbly as we can with the volume. Now this gets you into wasp territory. Or way beyond. Because I like to exaggerate everything I do, just to give you an extra range, an extra yeah, you understand what I'm saying. I don't have my English today is a little bit slow because I'm so stuffed with turkey. Oh, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Happy Black Friday. By the way, go to our website. Enjoy the deals because as you've seen for the past year or 2 years, we've been reducing the amount of sales on our plugins, mainly because we feel like our plugins are worth their price, but also because many clients just started to complain about 2 things that we got to think of. First of all, that many clients complain when we have sales that we are devaluing the products. They bought something, and then we're selling it at a deep discount, and then they feel like what they put their money in is worthless. And I completely agree with this kind of idea. And also, our EULA says that you cannot resell our plugins, and we're working to change the EULA so you can resell those plugins. And that really ties into devaluing our product. So now you know when you're going to buy Filterverse, it's never going to be discounted more than it is right now. And this is the lowest price you'll ever see it. And that means that you can sell it in a higher price if you want. Now, right now, the EULA prohibits of reselling, but if you come to our come to our support, we will help you transfer licenses. Okay, we will help you do that. We are trying to figure out how we can make it so that people can't just buy bulk plugins in quantity and then resell them, cannibalizing our sales. So probably what's going to happen is you'll be able to resell 2 copies of a plugin per year. And that's basically more than enough for somebody who who bought something, wants their money back, and wants to sell it to somebody else. So those are the things that definitely we're going to do in order to keep the value of our products. And of course, there's a third thing here, and it has to do with financials, of course. And I've seen a JHS video recently about a guy disassembling one of their guitar pedals and saying, hey, they're ripping us off. And there's some YouTubers on the VST market as well talking about they're ripping this off, and we get all of the sentiments of why don't you do this thing for free, or I'll wait for Filterverse to be $49.99. And people should understand that we're not making a lot of money from this. If we wanted to make a lot of money, we would probably be in a completely different business. We're in it for the music, we're in it for the creation, and the prices that we give not only reflect the amount of work, and that's fair and so on, but they're also necessary for us to make a living so we can carry on developing those products. And that's something that many people are not aware of. They say music brands, we're not the same as a conglomerate that owns 20 different companies like Music Tribe or Image Line or all of those huge companies that or Native Instruments. We're not the same. We're not centralist like that. We're a small indie company. We have only 6 employees. And I wish we could afford more, but we can't. So you can kind of understand that we really need to sell those plugins in order to be able to grow. Our plugins are kind of niche. And hopefully we'll kind of break that pattern very soon with our synthesizer. But I can understand when somebody goes to Filterverse, they're not looking for that regular everyday filter. They're looking to really game up something. And that's not something that you put on every single track. So again, and the same with Manipulator, and even more so with iWish, right? So those are very niche products. So definitely for us to be able to create those, we need to stand by the pricing of our products, stand by and stand by the support that we get from you guys when you buy our products. And so we cannot do the $29.99 type sales. We cannot do it's just impossible for us. We need to at least break even at the end of the year to be able to continue and developing for another year. So it is a struggle, I won't lie. I'm not complaining. We are very lucky to be doing this, to be waking up every morning doing the things that we love, our passion. Just saying, that's our price scheme. Now, Howl. Let's listen to Howl. Howl has a defective input. Oh, wow. Nichtumtum, you're bringing me way, way back. Pulsar modular. It's like, you mean Creamware, right? Or like Sonic Core modular right now. Is that what you're saying? The value, I agree that the value exists in the axis, yeah? So indeed, being able to make music with it is most of the value. But the value is also for many of our users, and we've received that complaints and we understand it. Um, and maybe we didn't see it that way in the past, right? So that's why we did give more deeper discounts in the past, and also it helped us penetrate the market. But people are complaining that they cannot resell the plugins. People are complaining that they pay for our gear a premium price, and then that deep discount makes them feel kind of like a sucker. And I agree with that. And I don't want to make my clients feel like a sucker. I want them to feel like they get what they pay for, because they do. They get what they pay for. And also, we've seen many companies who give deep discounts are unable to generate any sales during non-sales periods. And that is just a terrible situation. Ray from Music Marketing, which is the biggest distributor of plugins, said a sentence that just stuck with me. Deep discounts are like crack. It feels good at first, but then it kills you. So we're off that. Thank goodness. So now let's talk about Howl. Oh, you know what? I think there's actually a good conversation here. So let's pause with Howl. I have a good question here. And someone anonymous, that's a great nickname, says, zero complaint here. I guess when I'm considering where to spend my Black Friday money, there's a slight preference to hardware because I feel it will keep value better. But keeping prices equals keep value. So let me address that. I actually kind of agree with you in a way. Software can definitely lose its value when it's being abandoned. With that said, I do have my Nord G2 here with me. I don't think you can see it. Let's see if I can. Okay, I do have my Nord G2 here, and that. Oh, yeah, you couldn't see it. Let's do it like that. Okay, so that Nord G2 comes with software that has been abandoned more than 10 years ago, I think, but it's still usable. I can still run it on my computer, and I still love it, and it's one of my favorite synthesizers. It really, really depends on what the software company has done to the software before abandoning it. And there's ways to make sure that those software can still run many, many, many years later. Just like I can open a WAV file 40 years later, I should be able to run a software 40 years later. Another thing for me as a musician, I have a big problem with hardware. Personally, I have many synthesizers here. Let me see if I can... I can show some of those. Oberheim. Eurorack. MS2. I have the Cat. I have lots of analog synthesizers. How much use do I get out of those analog synthesizers? Guess. They are dust collectors. Unfortunately, I love those synthesizers. They're very fun to play with. But to actually professionally create music with analog synthesizers is such a challenge and so annoying. And especially when I have to connect stuff and make sure does it work. With software, I open a project, it works. That's it. I don't have to get up of my chair, go to a place where there's no sweet spot in my studio, try to tune a sound, go to the speakers, make sure that I got it, or work with headphones, God forbid. You know, these things really, really annoy me. What you saw there, no Waldorf wave. There's an Oberheim expander. I have a Eurorack there, just that I created just for drum synthesis. I have, oh, MIDI jitter. Don't get me started about MIDI jitter. Ugh. So, for instance, the Eurorack that I created has an entire contraption with CV. I sent CV, so it's sample accurate. The drums are sample accurate, but you can imagine that just to start creating, I need to really hook up things to make sure that it's not in noodle mode where I just kind of patch for fun. I have to destroy the patch from last week, right? So if I'm working on one track on the Eurorack, to work on another track, I have to destroy my work before. So I can't just switch between tracks back and forth. That really, really bugs me. So, and also the CAD synthesizer that I have there, it sounds so good. It sounds so juicy. It's so much fun. But that keyboard, first of all, it has no MIDI, of course, so I can't really record stuff and then fix it after the fact. I have to record it perfect. And that keyboard is super warbly and it needs lots of attention in terms of maintenance. So really, for me, going on hardware purchases on Black Friday is less of a thing, mainly because those hardware is also much less discounted. Software is able to be a little bit more discounted than hardware for obvious reasons. It can't be all the time like that, but on Black Friday it kind of makes more profit, so it kind of makes up for it. With hardware, you have such smaller margins, then it kind of becomes like just, so I'm buying in Black Friday to save $100. As a professional, I would spend those $100 on something that I need now to achieve something that I want. I won't save that $100 to just purchase something that I wanted several months ago, right? When I need something now to achieve my task, I'm going to purchase it, $100 plus or minus. I don't care. So that's me personally. Will we code a VST synthesizer one day? We definitely will. Our plans right now, my plans right now regarding the roadmap, we are going to continue updating Filterverse a little bit. We have some more filters that we want to release. We have some more. We're going to connect you to the cloud with the presets. We are going to update Manipulator, Gatekeeper, Comet, all of our plugins. We're going to give them an update. They're all going to get the preset list and so on. That's what's going to happen in the next 4 to 5 months, something like that. And right when we're done getting all of our plugins to the same level of usability and standard, as well as I think Gatekeeper is going to really enjoy it because it's going to get the new preset list, which loads way faster. It's going to get the undo, redo for the preset changes. And you'll be able to change presets with MIDI notes and all of that stuff, all of that goodness. So Gatekeeper is going to really enjoy it. Manipulator is going to get the biggest update. If you want to, if you're curious about the Manipulator updates, I really suggest that you go to our Discord chat in the link down below. And in the public beta, there's a whole discussion of me asking questions, our users, what do you want for the next version of Manipulator? And I also listed our plans, such as auto-tune capabilities, maybe a vocoder capability, micro-tuning, all of the new preset lists. Lots of new stuff is going to happen. The more of the new modulators, bigger modulators that you can edit. All of those things are going to come to Manipulator. More polyphony, voice, stereo spreading, all of many good stuff. After that, after we're done with those updates that we owe to all of you guys, we're going to start working on a synthesizer. And right now, inside the company, there's very lively debates as to, do we want to create a synthesizer that is based on Filterverse. And that would be a synthesizer that has a beginning of development and end of development. Or do we want to make our dream synthesizer, which is more of an ecosystem that will grow with time? And this has its benefits, and the other has its benefits. The benefits of the Filterverse synthesizer would be that people would feel very familiar with it. It would have all of those, the same language of modulation and so on, be very immediate. And it would be a great synthesizer, really. And the thing with the others, the more ecosystem type synthesizer, is more about investing in the future in a way and kind of bringing a lot of our stuff together. So we'll see what happens. We're not 100% sure. I can tell you that probably both of them are going to happen at some stage. Question is which one is going to be first. How you can sign up to the beta, join our Discord chat and just message Adrian and he will put you into our beta. By the way, if you haven't checked already, we do have some Black Friday deals. Some of the discounts, especially for the bundles, are pretty deep compared to what we usually do. Although, you know, it's Black Friday. Those discounts are not going to last long. These discounts are going to last until December 10th. I wouldn't wait to December 10th. I would do it at latest December 9th because, you know, time differences, you might be disappointed. Once the sales are off, the sales are off. We don't give discounts after the sales are off. So, yeah. Filterverse is also a synthesizer, right? Erez! Okay. Erez is another... he is way more professional than me. I mean, really, Infected Mushroom is one of the best acts, electronic acts in the world today. Super busy. They go... by the way, they've been performing with Filterverse on stage for several months now, and I'm super proud of that because that means that the plugin is stable, it doesn't crash. And also, I know that Erez has lots and lots and lots and lots of hardware, but I think I'm speaking for Erez as well. It also collects dust on his studio. And really, what Erez does is just puts weird sounds, and you can hear it on our YouTube channel. It puts like sounds that are like meh, and then puts a Filterverse on it, starts tuning it, and it just sounds incredible. And it's not like the first sound that he puts is meh because Erez doesn't know anything. You know, he just doesn't care. He just knows that whatever passes through Filterverse, he can shape it to become like crazy. So, Erez, I love you. You're amazing. Erez is just a genius. It's beyond comprehension, really. Okay, now if we don't have any more questions regarding those stuff, I'm just going to keep on going to listening to those classic filters on our saw, and let's listen to Howl. And Howl is our has a problem with its transistors on damage. And you know how some transistors have this kind of on the zero crossing, they have like this dead zone. Some of them, the dead zone is even like goes like a small tiny saw. So we decided to even go further than that and add the more damage you add, the more destructed is that dead zone. Let's listen to it. So this would be the damage that you would usually hear in some filters, but we took it like to the next level. And what I really like specifically about this filter is is that there's a synergy between the drive and the damage. So let's listen to just the drive. And now let's add some damage to that drive. It's kind of like no damage with damage. No. So yeah, those okay, so let's so spit, you remember I talked about the warbliness of spit? Glug is also kind of warbly, and it's based on the same error that spit had, but it's because glug has more poles to it, and you can hear, and a different type of non-linearity. The warbliness, I think, sounds wetter, and that's why we called it glug, because it's kind of like bloop, glug. Right, so we decided to add a different kind of warbliness to it, more wet sounding ones, and then the damage also adds a warble, but the damage here the input goes through a frequency divider. And I know this is not a classic damaged filter, but who cares? It's an interesting sound. And this gives you, if you're using a regular oscillator, it will give you an octave down filter FM. Let's listen. Again, for that extra wet, gluggy sound. And by the way, if you add minus damage or plus damage, the damage is slightly different, so you get a more array of damage. But if you're not putting an oscillator and you're using a different sound that has many different zero crossings, so I can do that with a chord right now. I can't, well, because it's monophonic. But yeah, if you use something that has weird zero crossings, then the damage sounds very cool, but it doesn't give you that octave down. It just kind of gives you a very wet, warbly sound, which is super cool. Now let's go to fat. This one, the damage is kind of more like if you'd have a solar storm and neutrinos would do ravaging stuff to your electronics, and basically it adds a lot of random elements to all of the internal components and different randoms to different components, as if neutrinos are hitting different transformers, different transistors, different resistors, capacitors, and different rates. Usually, many filters that have this kind of they're more susceptible to this kind of stuff, you will get this kind of when it sounds like it's not stable. But you can, as I said, I like to exaggerate everything. the drive, you get this kind of amazing movement. Without it, it's kind of stale. A little bit. Just gets you this kind of unpredictable feeling. This is something that you cannot achieve with a modular synthesizer just by connecting noise to different places. This is something that is deep baked into the algorithm. And last but not least, this is a 6-pole filter with double resonance. That means that there's 3 poles with resonance going into another 3 poles with a separate resonance that just doubles that down. And you can hear that it, compared to the rest of the filters, if just to kind of reduce the volume here and just listen to the resonance, you can hear that it's way more nasally. And even in low levels, it has lots of non-linearities. But this filter, we decided for the drive, we're going to go digital, because digital has lots to offer. And we went with a, as I said before already, we went with a wave folder. And it kind of transforms the filter into something completely different. And then for the damage, we put something that resembles a Bitcrusher, but it's not really a Bitcrusher. It kind of, it transforms into something that is close to a Bitcrusher, but has those steps rounded. So you start with a linear line, and then you get those round bumps until they become a little bit sharper, but not quite all the way. And this gives you this kind of, I don't know how to even describe it, the sound. And together with the drive, it does have this kind of FM-ish effect, but I wouldn't say, if I hear a wave folder, I probably say this is a wave folder, not FM, but it does come from the same kind of family because there's lots of harmonic variants, definitely. Okay, so we didn't cover all of Evil. We can definitely go more to listen to the band passes and the high passes and seeing what happens when we do a different balance between the 3 parameters of filter input, drive, and damage, and also the relationship between the cutoff knob and all of those parameters. So we can talk about just the Evil filter for 8 hours and not stop. But let's continue and discuss the next classic filter, which I really love. This is probably my favorite classic filter of them all. It's very versatile, and that's the deep cutter. And in here, we took a digital filter, a digital topology called Butterworth, which has a very smooth ripple and slope. And we just decided to go overboard with it in terms of how many poles it's going to have. And the type of saturation there is very punchy and fat and cool. Okay, so I think it's not modeled after those. It doesn't sound exactly like them, but it does give me that vibe of some of the Roland filters. Let's listen. Maybe if you just kind of, you don't push the volume too much. Then you start getting that Roland vibe. It doesn't sound like a Roland. If you put a Roland next to it, it will not sound the same. But if you put it in a track, you'll probably get that maybe SH101-ish type of sound, or maybe the Jupiter 8 type of sound, depending on how much volume you feed it in and the poles and how much you go between low pass and band pass. So for instance, if I want to go like more Jupiter 6 type, I would go somewhere. Between the low pass and the band pass, right? And even more, you can actually automate it to do that with the meta knob. When you add more resonance, you actually make it more thin, kind of like the Rolands, especially the Jupiter 6. So we add resonance, right? But we also reduce that low end, see? Oh, and we're not going to control the cutoff from this situation. And that really kind of feels like the travel of those synthesizers. And let's just modulate it again with a sequencer. Too bad I opened I opened the meta knob in the wrong one. Now it's modulating everything. But here we go. But here, the reason I love this filter so much is that I am a junkie of steepness in filters, especially on bandpass filters. Let's listen to the bandpass filter here. This is 2-pole. I'm going to add more poles. Let's listen. Such a steep, cutting filter. I don't think I've ever heard any synthesizer with such a crazy, steep bandpass filter. And although you can use the drive here to get a cool sound, I feel like bandpasses can always use a variety of different drives. And for that, you can just put another filter after it and use those drives and listen. That sounds pretty cool. Yeah, so just between those 4 filters, you have a huge range of sounds. And then you have brick wall, equalize, and clear glass, which are more about sculpting the sound. And let's just kind of give that a listen real quick. I'm not going to put a lot of effort into that. Thank you, someone anonymous. You've been really helpful in this conversation, and I enjoyed having you here. So let's listen to brick wall. Now, brick wall, it does say that it has 12 poles here as opposed to the maximum 16 for deep cutter. But brick wall is a different topology of filter. It's an elliptic filter. That means that it has like a very, very quick slope, like a very, very steep slope. So the 12 poles is steeper in brick wall than the deep cutter 16, okay? So if you listen to it, even with no resonance, and there is no resonance, you can hear you can hear something that sounds as if it is resonance because the filter is so steep, and you can hear the individual overtones enter as we open the filter. And the high pass is just insane. Also, those filters, Brickwall and Deep Cutter, when you move them, because there's so many of those filters, one after the other, the amount of phase modulation here plays a role in sound design. So here, when I use an oscillator, for instance, to modulate it, it imparts an FM-like quality. Or phase modulation like quality that you just cannot achieve when doing the same thing with, for instance, lower poles like 2 or 4. It's just different. So I really like that. Another way to achieve this kind of FME style is by using the phaser. And the more peaks you have, the more phase modulation you get. Yeah. Indeed, the harmonic series. Thanks you, Nachtuntun. By the way, you've mentioned Creamware or Pulsar Modular. I don't know if you're aware. Maybe you are. Maybe we know each other. Just don't recognize this specific handle of yours. We might know each other because whoever knows the Pulsar Modular or the Creamware Modular also knows the Flexor pack of modules that has more than 250, close to 300 modules. And that was a project that I worked on myself. So indeed, Adern has, Polyverse has a lot of Adern Flexor stuff in it. Some of those sounds of those filters, but definitely the current filters are, in my opinion, at least tenfold better. It has different types of technology, and the filters just sound. It's a different level. It's a whole different level, but definitely my ear for tuning those filters is the same ear. Maybe that ear maybe was downgraded a little bit with age, but really, I think maybe my brain upgrades have compensated for my ear downgrades. So, yeah. So let's listen. Let's just have fun with this bass for I would say a few more minutes, and then move on. Oh, what did I do? I ruined my presets. Let's go back, undo. There we go. You know what? I'm missing a lot of maybe a kind of a detune effect. Oh wow! I have so many good filters. You wait till you listen to the Fibonacci chorus that I made. My goodness. And maybe the densest chorus I've ever heard. But I digress. Let's just add some other chorus from whatever we have here. And the flange is a really good opportunity to add chorus. It's just like a flanger and a chorus is the same thing, really. Flanger is a high frequency effect, and a chorus is a low frequency effect. Flanger usually has more resonance, and chorus usually has less resonance. But that's the difference between the two effects. So let's just modulate the flanger with a sequencer. Oh, here's another tip with the knowledge, yeah? A sine slows down on the ends. Like when it goes to maximum, it slows down. When it goes to minimum, it slows down. So the movement varies. Slow, slow, right? But if I use a triangle, it doesn't slow down. It just changes directionality immediately. So I think it's a more consistent type of chorus than. And also when I tune choruses, usually, unless it's very important for me for them to be synchronized with the tempo, I usually like to remove the synchronization and do it by rate, for two reasons. The first reason is that sometimes just being synchronized with the tempo just becomes too rigid musically. And the second reason is if I would save it as a preset and somebody else would load it in their project and they had a different tempo, then the chorus would sound completely different. Now I know if I save this as a preset and you open it in your project and you have, I don't know, 90 BPM, it's going to sound the same. Without flange? With, oh, sorry. There we go. The volume. Nice, you see? Now, Fibonacci chorus is not out yet, but I do have it. I'm working on it, hopefully for next version. It's kind of like if chorus would be a glue trap, and you would be the rat. Sorry, maybe maybe not. So we have a little bit of that flange going on. Now I want to add maybe a permanent format with some of the phases. Let's try fractasers. So maybe not permanent. Maybe we should have it key follow. MIDI CV. 12 for 12 semitones. I have no idea what I just did there. Let's see. Oh, I see. I see something wrong here going on. Huh? Oh, here we go. Okay, that's what I said. It's flat. You just kind of go like this and you see exactly where it is. It used to be here on the filter out, so I could see it pop up in just under the name of the flange. That's how I knew where it was. Just a second and you know exactly where the modulations connect. gives it some kind of glassiness that I really like. Now we can experiment with which one comes first. I think it's very subtle, but I prefer the flange after fractaser. It's very subtle though, not a big difference. Now maybe I'm going to look for an evil filter to give all this a lot of grit. You know what I'm missing? And I should have done that before. A little bit of stereo. And I think that this is one of the strengths of Filterverse, where if you have something that's not stereo enough, it's just a button click away. Now I'm thinking maybe I'm going to add another meta knob here to open the filter a little bit and add resonance. Let's listen to that. Maybe add even damage, some damage. So the way that I like to tune those things, by the way, I'm sorry for destroying your ears. Yeah, the way that I like to tune those things usually is I push the meta knob all the way to the maximum, and then I tune the most extreme setting that I want to reach. So let's start with the cutoff. That's the open position for me. First of all, I tune the sound the way that I want it with a closed meta knob. Then I start tuning the open position. Now listen to that travel. Isn't that just like no effort, very low effort to get that travel of the meta knob exactly to the place that I want it to. Now, say I wanted to automate this meta knob. What should I do? Let's use a sequencer and just automate it. Let's do it slow. And you know, there's only one thing better than a Filterverse on your audio, and that is 2 Filterverses on your audio. And I like, for bass, the following trick. You put a high pass. High pass for bass? You just said no high pass for bass. But I'm not doing that to cut the low end. I'm actually doing that to boost the low end with the resonance. Now, I can even be smarter than that and use a pitch tracker to make sure that it's on the right place, but I'm a little bit in a lazy mode right now, so I just want to listen to different filters, high pass, and see which one gives me the nicest low end. Before, I don't know if your speakers can play this, because this is like 50 hertz, but whoever has good speakers at home probably notices how much more grounded the sound sounds. And now I'm going to use the previous trick that I said about cabinator and what's happening inside BAMP. Oh, you know what? I don't think that cabinator is doing a good job for that. Let's try dip cutter. Without. With. You can definitely modulate left and right differently for each side. Let's do it. Let's open a new track here. As you can see, by the way, I'm running, how many Filterverse do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. CPU is maybe at about 40%. We can still have many, many more running. So let's add an extra one. And this time we're going to do something cool with the stereo. Let's play some kind of you know what? I'm going to open Vital, a very cool synthesizer. Okay. Almost. I need to fix that a little bit, but it's usable. Let's quantize things to eighth notes. Now let's listen to the. Let's give an answer to your question. Now we're going to use a cool rhythmic pattern here. But I'm going to copy the sequencer to another slot. So now I have two versions of the sequencer, and one of them is going to move 1, 2, 3, 16 notes to the side. And now I'm going to zero out everything, and I'm going to put the modulation on stereo. And one of the LFOs will control left, and the other ones will control right. Okay. Maybe for this one, we're going to use a different type of filter, ripples. Or maybe double slit. I like that. Maybe a little bit too dirty, but you know what? I'm getting a little bit tired. If you have any kind of question, I'll be happy to answer it for the next 5 minutes before I log off. As a reminder, we do have a Black Friday sale right now. This is your last chance for the entire next year to get Filterverse for 99 bucks. The price is going up, and it's not going to go down for an entire year, at least, maybe more, who knows. I haven't decided what's happening on next Black Friday, but I can totally promise you that it's never, never, ever going to be cheaper than it is now. 6 years of development, more filters to come, tons of attention to detail, love to our community. And by the way, community, join us in our Discord channel. There's so many knowledgeable people there, so many exciting discussions. You'll be able to help us develop our plugins and make them fit your needs specifically. We listen to what you have to say. We don't always agree, but we 100% try and find a solution to each and every of your problems. Great. Let's wait for a question if you'd like. Good night, Vienna. Hello, 4I20. Hello, London. Hey, I'm in Los Angeles, by the way. Where is everybody here from? We have 19 people on the stream. That's pretty much, that's pretty a lot. And since I am from the United States, I want to say everybody, happy Thanksgiving. I'm super grateful for all of you, each and every one of our users. I think we have a wonderful community, so many amazing people. I really suggest you go to our Discord channel and just check out the music there's a channel for music that you've created, and there's so much good music in there. We are contemplating on putting out a compilation of music created by our filters. What do you think? If you want to have your music featured in our compilation, you're more than welcome to put it in the Discord channel, and we'll probably, if it's there and it's good, we'll probably reach out in a couple of months asking for you to join our compilation. We also have a cool, let's see, you know what, I'll open it. Let's see if I can do it Yeah, let's open the Polyverse Music website. We have all those sales, yes, but we also have some news. We have we are missing those news. We have to put it on the website. So yeah, let me just make sure that I'm fetching that. And this will be on our website very soon. There we go. Can't believe we didn't have it on our news section. That needs to be fixed ASAP. Because there's a contest right now going for Zardonic and Polyverse Music. And you're definitely welcome. Zardonic does incredible electronic, industrial, apocalyptic type music. He's an amazing producer. And we have a contest in Skio. There's cash money, prizes. First place, $1,000 cash. Second place, $500. You're getting a t-shirt from us. You're getting plugins from us. There's a meet and greet. And even you can just have a video chat with me and a 1 hour private lesson with Polyverse CEO. That's me. So definitely go into our Facebook, YouTube, into our, sorry, to our website. You'll be able to see the Zardonic Remix context in the news in 5 minutes from now. I'm going to log off and put it on immediately because I'm kind of shocked that it's not there yet. But yeah, enter the contest, put your tracks in there. It's going to be a lot of fun. Let's see if we have some questions for now. I'll put the link in the description. Of what? Of yes, I'll put the link in the description, but after I go offline, for sure. There, Markofag says, I seem to cannot get the IM plus filter bundle with both discounts. Yes. Maybe we need to do some fixes in our shop. There's an issue with double discounts, which means that we don't allow double discounts because of different reasons, which means if you had like an educational discount, we don't allow that discount to reach deeper than the Black Friday discount. This just to make sure that we don't kind of sell stuff for we don't end up owing people because they put on so many discounts. And so my suggestion would be, if you want the infected mushroom plus the filter bundle, first of all, I would probably say just get the everything bundle, probably more worth your dollars. But also another option would be to just to buy, first of all, the infected bundle and then the filter bundle. So let's see what happens if I do that. I just want to confirm the bug that I'm sure that it's happening. I just want to see how it's happening. Oh, I don't know. It actually did give you both discounts. Maybe you tried before today, because today we did some changes. I don't know. I'm going to put the Zardonic one for now in the chat for us to see. There we go. Hopefully it's going to... Not sure. No, you can't see it. Okay, so for the Zardonic, just wait 5 minutes. After I log off, you'll see the news and go there. If you have any other questions, You have 1 more minute before I log off. Germany, Montreal, Antwerp. Oh, I love the f- I love the fries, and I have some special place in my heart for fries from Antwerp. This just walking the street there just makes fries feel. It doesn't matter if the fries are better. It's just like the context makes it way better. It's kind of like there's some kinds of music. I'm not a fan of country music, for instance, but when I go to Nashville, it just makes so much sense, and it just I end up really enjoying it there. Context is everything. Okay, everybody, I love you. Let's oh, sorry, my late. I did want to say one more thing. Um, we need your help. Polyverse needs your help. Spread the word out. Now is the time to tell all of your friends about Filterverse, about Manipulator, about our plugins. We need your help. We need to grow. We want to we want to afford an extra coder so we can code faster, so we can bring those products to you. We want to afford an extra um, content creator so we can write a blog with educational content for you. So please let your friends know. Let your tell everybody that you know about Filterverse, and make, if you can, make a small video just with your phone using Filterverse. Show it on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube. Go into KVR. Give us a nice review. Go into Gear Slots. Give us a nice review. Go to the forums. Let people know. Everything, every small thing really helps us. And in turn, I promise we will surprise you with new filters, new exciting features, new tools for you to use. Because this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring stuff that has never been done before. We're trying to bring it to you in a way that is just serving your own interests. Also, what Polyverse is trying to do is not just make plugins. We're trying to make musical instruments. We're not trying to make toys. We're not trying to make tools. We're trying to make musical instruments. We're trying to make instruments that are beautiful, but their beauty comes their form comes as part of the function. The function kind of dictates the form, kind of like a race car or like a beautiful violin or a beautiful guitar. And we're trying to be able to serve people who are virtuoso, people who have a deep knowledge. Yes, we have presets. Yes, it's easy to use our plugins, but really, what we're trying to aim is that you can create crazy stuff on our instruments. Kind of like when you have a really good guitar, you can play those really fast passages. When you have that a really good violin, you can just the sound projects to the end of the hall. This is what we're trying to do. We're trying to make the best musical instruments possible. We're not about creating tools for musicians. No. We're about creating musical instruments for you guys. We're not about for creating toys and gamified stuff. No. We're trying to make musical instruments for you guys. That's why everything that we do is beautiful, but also useful. So please spread the word. I really appreciate you guys. Come to the forum. Let's have a discussion. Cheers. And Black Friday deal.